Trent slid a folder across the table like it was a verdict. "We know you run a secret company on company time," he said. "You're terminated effective immediately." I looked past him at Gwen, our HR director, watching Trent's smug smile stretch wider. I didn't argue, I just smiled back. "You're absolutely right. I really should focus on my own company." They had no idea my second job was the exact entity keeping their corporation from collapsing. "My name is Rebecca. I'm 33. Before I tell you what happened next, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you've ever had a toxic boss try to steal your credit, hit like." It was Monday morning at Vanguard Logistics. As Director of Supply Chain Strategy, I was the highly paid janitor for executive incompetence. I'd barely set my bag down when two security guards appeared and walked me into HR. Gwen was waiting. Beside her sat Trent, a nepotism hire built on empty buzzwords, with zero understanding of how a supply chain actually worked. "We tracked your network activity," Gwen said, dropping a fabricated file on the table. "You operate a private enterprise during contracted hours. Grounds for immediate dismissal. 6 years. 80-hour weeks." I'd sacrificed relationships fixing Trent's mistakes before the board ever noticed. In corporate America, I'd learned a brutal lesson. The person doing the heavy lifting gets crushed, while the person who steals credit walks away with the bonus. Trent had built his entire career standing on my shoulders. Now he leaned forward, palms flat on the glass. "We need your master access to Project Titan, right now. Pack up quietly and we might not sue you for corporate theft." Project Titan was Vanguard's crown jewel, an AI logistics system managing shipping routes, warehouse inventory, and disruption prediction in real time. Vanguard was bleeding cash from bad leadership, and Titan was the only thing keeping it upright. Trent thought firing me handed him the keys, that he could present Titan to the board as his own genius and ride it straight to COO. He never once asked how the system actually worked. He assumed Vanguard owned it outright. He had no idea Titan belonged, in full, to a third-party vendor, and that my unauthorized side business was that vendor. I picked up the pen resting on the termination papers. "Are you sure this is the route you want, Trent? The system's delicate. It needs a very specific understanding of external protocols." He scoffed. "Don't flatter yourself, write down the passwords and leave." I didn't write down anything. I signed the papers, unclipped my badge, and set it gently on top. "You're absolutely right. I should dedicate myself to my other venture." Good luck managing Titan without me. Security walked me out. I packed a box, photos, a mug, a plant, and didn't touch my computer. I didn't need to delete a single file. The trap was already set, and they just walked straight into it. Sitting in my car, I watched my corporate email go dark. Gwen's team was efficient. They scrubbed me from the directory in 4 minutes flat, congratulating themselves on a clean severance. What they didn't understand: for 6 years I'd been the invisible force holding Vanguard together, and I'd spent my nights building an escape. Project Titan wasn't just software. It was my exit strategy, engineered from scratch, integrated into Vanguard's infrastructure under the guise of an internal project, and licensed to them by an external company, Aura Dynamics. A company I founded, a company I alone owned. Titan was tethered to my administrative credentials to protect the IP. The second HR purged my ID from Active Directory. The system read it as a hostile takeover attempt and began a controlled 36-hour decoupling, a slow unbinding of every node I'd built over 2 years. In 36 hours, Vanguard's 5,000-truck fleet would go dark, warehouses would revert to manual, perishables would spoil at the docks. An empire would grind to a halt, and Trent would be sitting in his corner office thinking he'd won. I drove to dinner that night, my parents' anniversary. My father, Mitchell, slammed his glass down before I'd even sat. "I played golf with Trent's father today. He told me his son fired you for running some scam. You've humiliated this family." My mother Helen leaned in, venomous. "You're a disgrace." They'd financed my sister Sienna's entire pampered life. the useless degree, the luxury apartment, while I'd taken out 60,000 in loans and clawed my way up alone. Now I was being lectured for losing a job that was killing me. Trent is incompetent, I said evenly. I built a company Vanguard actually needs to survive. They made a massive mistake today. Sienna laughed in my face. Mitchell pointed a finger at me. Tomorrow you'll go to Trent's office, get on your knees, and beg for your job back. I stared at him. You want me to beg the man who stole my credit and fired me unjustly? You'll apologize. You'll shut down your little hobby. You'll fix this family's reputation. I didn't cry. I didn't defend myself. When the check came, $1,200 for their Wagyu and champagne, Mitchell slid it toward me as a down payment on your apology. That's when Elijah, Sienna's husband, brushed his water glass toward my hand. Underneath it, a folded napkin. Vanguard's financials are bleeding. Trent is drowning. Do not beg. Elijah was a forensic auditor, nothing like the rest of them. Self-made, sharp, and quietly contracted into the corporate world my family worshipped from a distance. I tucked the napkin away, dropped a 50 on the table for my salad, and stood. I won't be paying for your steak, and I won't be apologizing for Trent's incompetence tomorrow. Figure it out yourselves. Happy anniversary. I drove straight to my actual headquarters, a glass tower downtown, a private elevator, a floor marked Aura Dynamics asterisk in silver letters. 4 years I'd built this in secret. Vanguard wasn't my employer. It was my biggest client, and it didn't know it yet. My lead developer, Victor, met me at the door, tablet lit up with red alerts. Vanguard's IT flagged a security breach. The decoupling sequence has started. Don't restore their access, I said. This wasn't a glitch. It was a deliberate executive decision. Let the protocol run, he understood. This wasn't sabotage. It was consequence. Tuesday morning, Vanguard's network collapsed in full, 300 trucks stranded in LA. 40 ships drifting blind off the coast. Trent, sweating through his suit, called our support line and got a voicemail. He called our legal department and got a wall. Gwen burst in with legal binders, hunting for a loophole, completely unaware she was the one who'd lit the match. That afternoon, my father called, screaming that Trent had accused me of hacking Vanguard's servers out of revenge. When logic failed to move me, he reached for his oldest weapon, my grandfather's trust fund, which he controlled. Beg Trent's forgiveness, or I dissolve your inheritance and hand it to Sienna. Do whatever you want with it, I said. I don't need your money. I never will again. I hung up and blocked his number. Wednesday, Elijah called from inside Vanguard's server room. His firm had been brought in for an emergency audit. He told me Trent had sent the board a memo blaming me for a malicious cyber attack and requesting criminal charges. He also told me something else. He was filing for divorce. Sienna had secretly buried them both in fraudulent debt, and my parents had helped hide it. I'm done with this family, he said. Including Trent. The board was done too. They were preparing to fire Trent that afternoon unless the system came back online. I put on a tailored charcoal suit and drove to Vanguard myself. I walked through the same lobby that had escorted me out 2 days earlier, past dispatchers screaming into dead radios, into the executive elevator, and straight through the boardroom doors. Trent's face went white. Security, she's trespassing. The chairman silenced him with one word. Enough, then, to me. Who let you in? I placed my card on the table. You requested the founder and CEO of Aura Dynamics. I'm here. Gwen's pen clattered to the floor. Trent looked like he'd seen a ghost. I laid it all out, the years of stolen credit, my encrypted signature buried in every line of code Trent had claimed as his own. The exact timestamp showing his own HR purge triggered the shutdown. And the number ticking upward on the projector, $2.4 million lost in 36 hours. The chairman didn't hesitate. Trent and Gwen, you're terminated effective immediately, no severance. Trent tried to invoke his father's money. The chairman cut him down cold. Security dragged him out mid-tantrum. Then I named my terms. A $10 million restoration fee, a tripled licensing rate locked into a 5-year, $40 million contract. and the removal of both executives, which had already happened. The board signed. I restored the network myself, watched the red screens turn green, and walked out with the signed contract in my briefcase. Outside, I passed Trent standing by his car with a damp cardboard box of desk junk. I gave him the same nod you'd give a stranger, and got in my town car. By Friday, the story had broken nationally. Tech prodigy secures massive Vanguard contract. My net worth was public. And right on schedule, my family showed up in my penthouse lobby, freshly rebranded from disgrace to always believed in you. Mitchell tried pride. Sienna tried guilt. Helen tried tears on my imported sofa. You didn't come to congratulate me, I said. You came because your business is bankrupt. Elijah filed for divorce this morning. And I'm your only lifeline left. Mitchell asked for $500,000 as a bridge loan. Sienna begged me to cover $80,000 in secret credit card debt. I didn't raise my voice. I told them exactly what they'd said to me at that steakhouse 3 days earlier, and then I told them the truth. You don't want a daughter. You don't want a sister. You want an ATM. The answer is no, not today, not ever. Mitchell exploded. Helen staged a collapse onto my sofa. And then the elevator chimed again. Elijah, briefcase in hand, dropping the finalized divorce papers onto my coffee table. He told Sienna flatly that he'd found the paper trail proving her parents helped hide her debt from him. I'm done playing this game, he said, and pointed them to the door. I cut off their building access permanently that same afternoon. 6 months later, Mitchell's real estate firm collapsed into bankruptcy. The mansion, the memberships, all liquidated. Helen was pushed out of the social circles she'd spent her life chasing. Sienna lost everything Elijah's income had shielded her from and ended up folding sweaters on a retail floor to pay off her own debt. Trent was blacklisted across the entire logistics industry, reduced to cold-calling printer toner sales while watching my company dominate the evening news. Aura Dynamics, meanwhile, exploded. The Vanguard contract became the catalyst for global expansion, government deals, international partners, a company finally untouchable. Elijah joined me as CFO, his talent respected for the first time in his life. I sat in my corner office one afternoon, coffee in hand, completely at peace. Sometimes the best thing anyone can do for you is fire you, reject you, and throw you to the wolves, because out in that cold is exactly where you learn to build an empire. Ever had someone underestimate you completely and pay for it? Tell me how you proved them wrong. Like and subscribe for more.